I'd like to thank the Wind Wildlife Research Meeting for inviting us to present our work on WildTrack. My name is Zoe Jewell, and together with Sky Alibi, we are the co-founders of WildTrack, and we are adjunct associate professors at Duke University. The title of our talk is A Rapid, Inexpensive Biodiversity Metric to Assess Ecological Integrity at Terrestrial Wind Energy Sites. WildTrack has a network of more than 30 global projects. We are specifically interested in finding non-invasive ways to monitor endangered species, and our work ranges from work on black rhino in Africa to mountain lion and jaguar in the Americas to tigers in Asia, and a lot in between. Recently, we've started working with small mammals to develop a new biodiversity metric to assess ecological integrity. Our work is available at wildtrack.org and our publications also. So a key challenge facing the wind industry is a potential for turbines to adversely affect wild animals, both directly via collisions as well as indirectly due to noise pollution, habitat loss and reduced survival or reproduction. This is taken from the US government. We're very interested in what's going on the ground under the turbines. And a perfect indicator of this situation could be a small mammal lens. So imagine if we could monitor sensitive sites before, during and after development for impacts such as habitat fragmentation and pollution using a cost-effective and rapid survey method. We have done a lot of work with footprints because they're non-invasive and cost-effective means of monitoring wildlife. And we're particularly interested in how this could apply to monitoring small mammals. Why small mammals? Well, this group is already used widely in environmental impact assessments and by the renewable energy industry. Small mammals constitute a large part of all mammal species across a range of environments. They're central to most food chains. Their numbers go up and down very quickly in response to perturbations, so they're a very sensitive index of what's happening in the ecosystem, and they're ubiquitous. Pretty much everywhere you go there are small mammals. So by studying small mammals, we have a very fine-grained lens on what's happening in the environment. But current methods are costly, slow, and laborious. They're labour-intensive. With trapping, they require a minimum of 4 nights to be able to make sure you get the elusive and trap-shy species. Large trap numbers are needed as a consequence and must be checked frequently. We need large sample sizes, we need large trap numbers. A small mammalogist is required, an expert in handling and identifying animals so that when they're caught, they're accurately identified. There are many species that can't be identified in hand, which require DNA sampling, which is expensive. And the expense really relates to all these 3 points above. And because of the expense, there's limited field deployment. We can't keep sampling continuously because it's expensive. I'd like to show a short video of how we look at small mammal numbers as a possible index. And we use footprints, and we capture their footprints using a very simple and cheap method. Basically, there's a mouse here walks over some charcoal in a little tunnel in the field, and then walks over some sticky paper, leaving very, very clear footprints behind. This is a little Ottomus species that is from South Africa. This is very cheap and effective materials. Oops. And you can see here the footprints that this animal's left behind. Actually, this is a gerbil, Gerbilus leucocaster. And you can see the footprints very clearly left behind on this piece of paper with a ruler for scale. And the whole lot can be captured using our smartphone app and uploaded to the cloud very quickly and easily. This is using our footprint identification technology, and we use a software called JUMP Statistical Analysis, and we have a platform within JUMP which actually enables us to do the entire process from uploading the footprint to taking landmark points on the footprint and putting those through the statistical analysis, which outputs species and individual identification. You can see here the feature extraction window in JUMP, which is very user-friendly. So the first part of any of this work is to develop an initial database at the site of interest, which can be done quickly and easily. And we have here a set of 20 species that we've collected, maybe more than 20, that we've collected recently in South Africa. And lots of different species, mice and rats, gerbils, shrews and sengies, different groups. And every single species has a unique footprint, and we can use that uniqueness to identify which species are present at a site. So our research actually shows that this morphometric analysis in JUMP can identify even very closely related species like these gerbils, which would not be identifiable in hand, even by an expert. You can see they separate out very nicely with an accuracy of 93%. Similarly here with these flay rats, the Otomis species, almost impossible to identify in the hand, but they can be very nicely separated out using footprints. So this is great. The morphometric analysis works very well. It's a gold standard for separating out these animals. The next step is to try and accelerate this using artificial intelligence. We've started using artificial intelligence for wildlife conservation for large species. You can see here a rhino imaged from the air with a beautiful trail of footprints behind it. We're getting 98% accuracy in species classification with 15 species that we've trialled so far, and 87% on individual accuracy. And it works surprisingly well, even given that these are taken from natural substrate where the substrate has a big impact on the quality of the footprint. We believe that when we start using this for small mammals, it's going to be even more accurate. So the field implementation plan for the AI is that we will put out these track tunnels, which you can see here on the left. A very simple design. There are lots of designs that would work with the carbon and the sticky paper as a single insert inside. The animals walk straight through the tunnel. They don't need to be caught or handled. AI will identify the footprints on the paper and make an inference about the species, and then the output will simply be relating to the site and the type of survey and the species present. So we'll have a list of species from that site without having to catch them. So the sort of metrics we'll get in terms of the small mammal interest are species richness for a start, which is a number of different species. And then also the indicator species. Different species indicate different effects on the environment. So, for example, some species are species that come in very early after environmental destruction. Some are there at climax stage where the ecosystem is integral and healthy. And there are lots in between that indicate different ecological effects. And the last part of the metric which we will work on is species abundance, a proportion of each species on our list, which will show us which species are coming up, which species are going down. So the beauty of this system, there are several advantages, I think, over the current methods. The first is that this is an inexpensive and rapid survey method. Those track tunnels are very cheap to make, they're easy to replace, the data analysis is very streamlined, so it's a rapid and relatively cheap survey method compared with current methods. It's non-invasive sampling. WildTrack is all about ethical wildlife monitoring. We want our monitoring to disturb the environment as little as possible and to be human and wildlife friendly. We're getting high accuracy using the morphometrics for small mammals, which we believe will translate very effectively into the AI, which is going to make things quicker and cheaper still. And the technique is very accessible. It's very easy for local communities, particularly those with traditional ecological knowledge, to participate in collecting data and analysing data if they're interested. And because of these things above, the monitoring can be continuously undertaken. It's not necessary to select only particular seasons that the monitoring can be done. These track tunnels can be left out continuously because they're cheap and easy to replace. So thank you very much for listening. We would really value your feedback on this talk. As I say, we haven't presented for renewable energy industry before. We see this as an opportunity And we would be very interested in talking to anybody who's interested in helping us develop this last stage, or perhaps just have questions about the process. So thank you very much for listening, and we will look forward to hearing more from you later. Thank you.